So I went looking everywhere for a tutorial to take the carriage off of the top of the Royal 10, and I couldn't find one. So I've decided to make one for you because I figured it out. So the big thing you want to do is be able to take off all of the pieces of the typewriter first that are down here. So you want to take off the cover plates on the front, on the back. You can take off that front cover panel if you want. I took out the platen, so I wasn't also removing that from my carriage. So this is just the paper tray flapped down. And then you want to go underneath the typewriter from the back. You're looking for these little hook thingies that have screws in them. And when you move your typewriter over and margin it over, you're going to see these little clamps. These are called carriage clamps. They hook onto a rail system and they have little screws in them. There are 5 of them on your typewriter. You're going to want to remove 2 on each side. So there's 2 on the left side and 2 on the right side, and 1 in the center. The center one stays in the whole time. So you're going to start by removing the carriage clamps on both sides. So I took off all of them except this last one here. So all you have to do is go in with a screwdriver, and I'm going to do this one-handed like a maniac. I'm not going to do this one-handed like a maniac. Save all these pieces because you're going to need them. Once you get the carriage clamps off of each side and you only have the center carriage clamp to worry about, you're going to have to loosen that carriage clamp. So you're going to move your carriage all the way to the side, so now you can see just the center carriage clamp. There's the center carriage clamp. I took 2 off of the side here. This is the center one. You're going to want to loosen those screws so that it'll come off of this bottom rail thing. It's got that little clamp. When you loosen the screws, you can actually push the clamp off and it disengages from this rail. The next part requires some just force or skill. Don't force it too hard because you don't want to break anything, but you are going to have to tip and tilt your carriage off of the base of the machine, and there are some pieces you have to navigate around here. So let me show you those. You have to navigate the rail around these 2 pieces. So what I suggest is that you tip the carriage and move it the whole way to the edge so that these 2 pieces go through this gap in your rail. There's a little gap there, and you can actually move that clip through there. So this clip is either called the backspace or some kind of rail thing, but you want to get that through this gap in the rail. Also, I think it's important to note that the entire time my drawband has been hooked to my casing. You don't want your drawband still hooked onto your carriage when you try to remove it, because that'll just confuse it. So make sure that before you even start, this is attached to your casing. So once you have everything unscrewed, now comes the fun part. You tilt the rail off, or you tilt that carriage off of the rail down there, that little center carriage part, so that it's disengaged. And then you need to navigate that little bracket thing through the gap, and it just takes some like manhandling. The part I got stuck earlier was that one. There we go. 10 minutes later, but now my carriage is off. The big thing I'm going to suggest after this is that you put your carriage clamps right back into this guy so that they're all together. You do not want to lose them. They keep your carriage on the rack. And now our typewriter is topless. It is important to note you have 2 little ball bearings here. This moves your carriage. Do not lose these guys either. And that's how you remove the carriage from a Royal 10.